As I dropped down, I could just about make the outline of a flatfish in the sand, and that's all I needed to take the shot. There can be a real variation in the appearance of flounders. They can be right or left-eyed, and both flounders and dabs can have faint orange spots on them. They have a rough lateral line on top, and underneath they're generally a creamy white, although it can sometimes be speckled. I dispatch my fish while they're still on the spear. With flatfish, I take my dive knife and I go underneath the gill plates, and I press up into the brain and I give it a twist, and that's probably the best way to dispatch flatfish. You can see the difference between the two flatfish here. I like to cook flatfish whole if they're small enough. If they're too big, then obviously you have to fillet them. This was a cracking red mullet that came out in front of me, and I had already caught it in my head. I didn't really pay full attention to the shot, and the spear goes just over the top of the head. I was pretty annoyed about that. My quest to try and catch a decent lobster continues. I found 3 this day. 2 of them were good, and there was 1 soft-shelled. Female lobsters breed when they're soft-shelled, during summer especially, so leave them be. This lobster here, I managed to spook and get it out of its little crack and get to the back of the hole. I thought I would swim around the back of the hole and grab it, but by the time I got there it had vanished. I'm off of Chesil Beach in this video, and I'm diving down about 18 meters, and I'm swimming over the seabed looking for big flatfish. You can find a variety of species over sand, and on this dive I caught a red gernard. They are great eating, and you won't be disappointed when you catch one of these fish. I'm keeping the dives short, about 1 minute 20, with a 3 minute 30 surface interval, as it's a very dynamic type of spearfishing. I try not to shoot the fish from above, as shooting down into the seabed risks damaging the spear. You want to take care when grabbing these fish. They've got some big spines on their dorsal fin and around the gill plates. If you haven't used a dive watch before, this is what I see when I've done a dive. It shows me it was my 11th dive to 18.1 meters for 1 minute 23 seconds, and I've been on the surface for 45 seconds. The main way that I use my dive watch is to make sure that my surface interval is long enough between dives as a safety precaution. In the afternoon I went looking for gilt heads, but I found all of these fish instead. There's pouting pollock, bass, wrasse and mullet here. I was slightly lucky to drop onto this wreck because I couldn't see it from the surface. It's worth having a real good look around bits of wreckage. You can find bass in the wrecks, but you can also find the likes of triggerfish hidden up, crabs and lobsters and so on. I spooked a cuttlefish out as I was swimming over the seabed, and as you can tell, I'm not too bothered about trying to catch it. And it could sense that, and it swam back in behind me. I've already covered this day on my channel, and you can check this out if you're interested.
Now normally when there's nets you can see like a line of floats on the surface. Couldn't see that, nearly swam into it. Luckily my dive buddy missed it.
This was at Chesil Cove. It's not uncommon to see this type of thing. There's a mackerel caught up there. There was a scad, also known as a horse mackerel, a pollock and a grey mullet. I think the nets had only just gone out. They're very dangerous, so my advice would be stay well away. You'll probably notice that I'm down current of the net, so the current's always pushing me away from the net.
I think the guys are probably looking to get pot bait. They mainly use wrasse, to be honest, but you know, you can take whatever bait you can get really.
There were quite a few bass in these like holes and spaces between and under the boulders. Bass are dark grey on top, so it is a bit tricky to spot in this type of situation. I couldn't find any decent bass in these holes, so I then went for scallops. This has been my summer session. Hopefully I'll get a few dives in over autumn, and I'll have something to show for that before all the weather and the viz goes downhill.